Today we will continue the freestyle pulling mechanic series with a look at freestyle pulling from the side. And the first thing that we can observe again from Matti Rajakylä's freestyle is how he uses the entire range of motion in his pull. And at its best, the range of motion obviously starts when your arm in front is extended at the opposite end of the zero position and then ends underneath your hips to the zero position. And that seems to be a recurring theme of this series, how important it is to recognize this position in the water. Next, we can really define three phases of the stroke. Really, there's four, but to keep it simple, we usually only talk about three. And the first part is the initial actions, or bending your arm in order to have the surfaces of your hand, forearm, and possibly your upper arm pointed directly backwards. And this is something Matti could do a little bit better. However, you don't have to try to do this extreme high elbow, 90-degree elbow angle position that is completely unavailable for most master swimmers, because the real idea of setting up your stroke is, like we discussed on the rhythm video, to leverage your arm in a way that allows the opposite side of your body, the part that is recovering into the water, to go forward from that point. So even though theoretically, the more you can bend your arm and have all of your surfaces, your propulsive surfaces, directed backwards, it is a minor detail. Much important thing is what happens after that. Because after the initial actions, you come to the second part of the stroke, which is the power phase. So if in the initial actions you're not really using any force into the water, or the force production is small, the goal of the power phase, which happens at the point of recovery arm signal, is to accelerate the pull forcefully backwards with as much surface area exposed to the water as possible, as we can see Matti doing here. And then it is also important to follow the water again with the surfaces that you have, and make sure that you're pulling backwards as long as it is possible. And the last phase, where your elbow starts to close on to your body, we could nominate that as a push phase, but we consciously don't want to do that because it usually mixes people up and they change the muscles that they're using, because we want the arm pull to be a swing. But you need to modify the angle of your elbow in order for you to still keep pushing backwards with that forearm and hand as long as it is possible. And as we discussed the last time, once you are not able to keep contact with the water backwards, you should release the arm into your recovery with the momentum you have gathered during the accelerating power phase. So let's recap. Use full ranges of motion. Bend the arm with the goal of exposing as much of the surface areas backwards as early as possible. Then aim to start applying power at the signal phase of the rhythm, and then accelerate through while following the water pressure with your forearm and hand, and shaping this imaginary paddle the right way so that you can keep the pressure backwards as long as possible. And once that is not possible anymore, then just release the hand into the direction of the pool and swing it into a recovery.